3 years ago, literally exactly today, I officially announced I was going to run. And that was after a long career in the national security world, the CIA and the Pentagon, 3 tours in Iraq, married to my husband Dave, who was a career Army colonel. We were frankly pretty apolitical people. But the tone and tenor of politics in 2016 just felt fundamentally different. And frankly felt unbecoming of the country that we love and the country that we served. So I started thinking about running, but what really got me into the race, and what still looms extremely large in my work, in my time, in my focus, is actually a much more personal story of my mom. And her experience of going through stage 4 ovarian cancer and being diagnosed without having health insurance. She had a pre-existing condition, and she struggled her whole life to afford health insurance. So when she lost her job, she lost her insurance. And that experience of getting her terminal diagnosis at the same time, the same week, and the same month we were dealing with that, where your whole life just explodes, was the same week and the same month that we were dealing with her paperwork to fill out to declare bankruptcy. That left a lasting impression on me. So in 2017, when the House of Representatives at that time decided to repeal the ACA or Obamacare, or what I really care about, protections for people with pre-existing conditions, it broke me. It was the thing that got me into this race, quite literally watching a Rose Garden ceremony of people celebrating their vote to repeal protections for people with pre-existing conditions. Dave and I decided that we were going to do this crazy thing and try and run in what most people thought was a pretty tough district. We knew that this was our mission, and we carried through with that mission and won for the first time in 2018. But as we relaunched the campaign, I thought it was important to speak directly to people in the district and talk about why I hope to earn your vote either for a second time or for a first time. I believe it's important that no one get lazy and rest on their laurels and think that they should just get reelected because they happen to do it one time. It is my obligation to come back to you all and explain the value proposition for the constituents and the residents in this district and why I hope to earn your vote. When we won, we really, and I say we because doing this with your family is really how it's done. I went to Washington with this idea that the priorities that were absolutely being raised to me every single day in the district were the priorities I would carry with me in Washington. The price of healthcare, the price of prescription drugs, clean water, and then bringing some civility and decency back to Washington. Those were the things that I was focused on. And I'm proud to say that we made had some important accomplishments in these 18 months that I've been a member of Congress. We were able to pass 9 provisions into law in a very contentious period, in a very difficult period to get anything done. 9 provisions signed into law by the president. 6 of those provisions are on PFAS. And as many of you know, and certainly in Livingston County in this district, we have 4 PFAS contamination sites. These are things that change the ability of the military to use PFAS in their daily operations. We said no more using PFAS foam in your daily exercises just for practice. Absolutely no more PFAS foam after 2024 at all. And after 2021, the EPA will have to start testing for PFAS in our water nationwide. Those are things I'm extremely proud of. In addition, we passed bipartisan veterans bills, veteran apprenticeship bills, things that help the community that Dave and I grew up in, so that our veterans have a better shot and a better life when they come home. In addition to the laws that were signed by the president, we also passed another 10 through the House of Representatives. Most of those, the majority of those, are bipartisan. The ones that really get me are the ones on the price of prescription drugs. I cannot go through a grocery store without someone talking to me about the price of prescription drugs. And we passed a bill, a bipartisan bill through the House, that will make it easier to have transparency on pricing so that you know you can get the least expensive drugs possible the moment you leave the doctor's office. And I hope very much that the Senate takes up this bipartisan bill immediately. We also focus on constituent services. It's not always the sexiest part of being a congresswoman, but it is a critical responsibility. We have offices in Lansing and Rochester Hills, and we've helped our residents get over $1 million back from the federal government. $14,000 here for a veteran who had money stuck at the VA, $20,000 back from the IRS there. These are the kinds of things that change people's lives when they get that much money back from the federal government that they have been trying to get for years in some cases. But we also did things like help a Boy Scout troop get a federal discount so they could go to their big event. That's the kinds of things that are important to me to make the point that government does still have the ability to work. But just as important as the things that we did was, I hope, the way that we did it. I went to Washington as someone who had never thought about being in politics, with a very different training and a very different approach to the job. I consider myself very formally a Midwestern Democrat. I am practical, I believe in bipartisanship, and I believe in decency, because that's the way that people in our community, in our district, in our state brought me up. That's how we act here in the state of Michigan. I've approached any problem that comes my way, any potential issue I hear from the district, with that in mind, with those values in mind. A significant number of the bills that we've been able to pass were ideas that came quite literally from the district. Our Veterans Apprenticeship Bill came from a veteran who approached me in Oakland County with a good idea that we saw through into law. So practicality, finding those areas of compromise where even in divided government we can get something done, that I believe is my responsibility and my job. Being bipartisan. In this environment, that can sometimes be tough. And people will ask me, how can you continue to work across the aisle? That is my job. It is my job to find the overlap between what I believe and what I want done and what my Republican colleagues believe and what they want done. And even if it sometimes gets strained from time to time, given what's going on in the headlines, it is still my job to knuckle down, put my nose to the grindstone, and find something that we can agree on and we can pass to make people's lives better. That is quite literally my job. And then decency. We've had a number of moments in the past 18 months, in my first term in Congress, where I really had to dig deep to make a decision on how I would vote on an issue. And frankly, we have a very independently minded district. The district expects me to think independently about each and every bill and not just to take the party line. And there were many moments where I had the opportunity to vote on a bill that would have been politically expedient for me, that maybe would have been better for my reelection. And I tried my best to make decisions based on integrity, based on a sense of oath of office, and based on the idea that people should expect that from their elected officials. Now, going forward, my hope and my proposition to folks watching and to folks here is that I will continue to take that mission focus into my next term in Congress. I have held over 30 town halls in the 18 months that I have been in office, and that is not by accident. My responsibility is to be available to you and to take that fight on the things you care about, whether it's mental health or Alzheimer's, issues around autism, issues around addiction, issues around our economy and what's going to happen as we deal with the response and the fallout from COVID-19. It is my job to listen and to do something about it. So my value proposition to you is that let me continue that fight on the price of healthcare, on the price of prescription drugs, on clean water, both our waters, our lakes, and our water, our drinking water. And let me try and be a part of a new generation of elected leaders who think differently and work harder and never forget who they are fighting for. That is my proposition to you. I appreciate your time. For everyone watching, if you want to know how you can help, please do a couple inches more than you're used to and volunteer this year. You can go to our website, elissaforcongress.com. We have really creative new options on how to engage your communities from the safety of your home and without any contact that's going to get us all in trouble in this pandemic. It's creative, it's new, it's different, and it creates community that right now I feel like we all need. So thank you for listening. Thank you to our other speakers for speaking from the heart. It is my honor and privilege to be the representative of this district, and I hope you give me the opportunity to do it again. Thanks very much.